Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we are going to be doing a weekly meta game breakdown for the best decks in the historic best of one format. So we had the nerfs about a week ago. We had the new alchemy set come out yesterday. So the data's kind of mashed up a bit. Well, usually when there's a new set release, we usually have to wait like a week, but alchemy is not that big. So we're going to just cover the top 10 decks right now in Mythic rank in terms of win rate. What we won't be able to show today is the popularity of the days. Whenever there's a new set, you usually have to, like I said, wait about a day or so for Untapped, what you see on the screen, to kind of update in terms of the play rate stats. But we'll have the actual win rates, and we can kind of take a look to see how the meta has evolved since the nerf of the energy cards in the format. So we are going to cover the highest win rate decks that we're going to be seeing right now. Like I said, we're using Untapped. If you want to use Untapped to track your win rates or look at stats, the link is in the video description. And then I'll paste all these deck lists so you can copy and paste. So normally what we do is we'd look at the distribution of the decks. Like I said, for this week we won't. We'll be back next week with that. I'll also do a best of 3 historic, and then we'll cover the other formats as well. So we will jump into it. Quick favor to ask, if you do enjoy this type of content, it's always appreciative if you could drop a like and a comment on the video. Free way to just help support the channel. So we have Mythic rank for the last week or so, the week and a half, 14 days actually, so 2 weeks, 13,000 games, so pretty reasonable distribution. And there's a lot of combo to start things off. And we're going to start off with the Izzet Belcher deck. So this is a combo deck that is built around Goblin Charbelcher, and you are playing a number of non-basic lands through the module dual face cards. So what happens is when you activate Belcher, it sees no lands in your library, and you deal damage to your opponent equal to the number of lands you control. This deck could win on turn 3. So the way you do it is like strike it rich to ramp up ahead, cast Ironcrag Feet. Ironcrag Feet will generate 7 mana, enough to cast Belcher and activate at the same turn. You can also use Magma Opus as a way to ramp up as well. So either strike it rich or Opus on turns 1 or 2 can get you to the requisite mana on turn 3. You have Indomitable Creativity as a way to destroy one of your artifacts and always find Belcher, so it's another way to kind of win. This deck's playing Brotherhood's End, as well as Shove Aside as early removal. March of Reckless Joy can help you find the combo, since you can pitch all these lands as well. And then you can also use some of the abilities of lands, so like Rush of Inspiration is reasonable, Valakut's Awakening, just ways to kind of dig to the combo. And then you have Pact of Negation in there as well. Now, this is a Zerda companion deck. You do get access to Zerda. I think it actually is kind of telling in terms of if you play Zerda, it's pretty much always Belcher. It can sometimes be Kethis, but more often than not, I would probably just not play the companion, since it's best of one anyways. You just want to have your opponent keep a hand with like removal that does nothing against you. So the next deck is 4-Color Storm. So this is a deck from content creator Mojo Rogue on Twitch. So there's various persist combos. This iteration, like I said, is kind of his pet version. We see Storm Splitter in here as kind of a combo, but it's playing, the essence of the deck is a Scholar deck that's using persist. You have Conspiracy Unraveler, Breach the Multiverse, Omniscience. But basically, you're trying to use Persist to get out a Scholar, to get back Emergent Ultimatum, or any of these effects. You could use Mizzix Mastery for Emergent Ultimatum. Then you start casting Mind's Desires to then just cast into more stuff, and just kind of storm off that way there. So you kind of take over the game in that respect. Phyrexian Scrapyard helps you draw and discard, put your cards, or actually discard fodder, and then get you some lands that way there. It can also just be a fair game plan of creating a big Soul of New Phyrexia, just to kind of beat down if your opponent has a lot of counter spells. We have Izzet Wizards. They haven't fixed the typo yet, but 75%. So this is kind of throwback to the original. We've seen some with Slickshot. This version is just kind of stock in terms of the Arcanist version. Soul Scar, they're back on the Shove Aside package as opposed to Galvanic Discharge, since 3 damage is important in the mirrors. Full Reckless Charge, full Spell Pierce, so just a lot of cheap disruption to protect your effects. And then you just kind of beat in with any of your incidental wizards, lots of burn, card advantage through Flame of Anor style effects mixed into there as well. 1 Prismatic, 1 Fiery Islet as kind of flex spots in the land base. Check out the companion in this particular list. But the big card of the deck is like Symmetry Sage, just boosting up the power of all your creatures. Makes all your incidental smaller creatures a lot bigger. Then go to Abzan Amalia. So actually played this deck a bit. It's fairly consistent, fairly strong in the timeless or the historic format, similar to Pioneer. The big card that it got added was Dewdrop Cure. So this lets you play out your cards proactively. If they just don't have interaction, you combo kill them through Amalia, Wild Growth Walker, and any way to gain life. But you can also just win out of nowhere. So if they kill your stuff, the base of the card is you reanimate 2 creatures, which could be 2 of your combo pieces, or you can gift them a card, doesn't matter at that point, and you return 3 creatures and just set up the full combo. So you can find all your combo elements out of it. The one card I wasn't like, and it could save you a mythic, Sylvan Tutor, honestly, every time I drew it, I just want to collect a company instead. You have like the ramp in Birds of Paradise in this deck, you have Prosperous Innkeeper, it just helps you dig deeper into the deck. So with the Sylvan Tutor, this puts it on top of your library as opposed to your hand, so it does lose some of its benefit. You have the fair game plan of like Oscillus Pride, your life gainers, to just kind of go wide and beat down that way there. You have Starscape Cleric as another way to drain. I ended up trying out like just kind of a mid-rangey package as well, where I still had the Dewdrops. I played the full core Cocos instead of Cord, and then I had like the Prides, and then just played more. I had Dina in there, so you had the fair drain plan, which helped out in games where they were a little bit more interactive. All in all, like you can win on turn 3 fairly easily with this deck. You can have some pacing against Wizards, but you also don't play much interaction, so you are racing against the combo decks in terms of just trying to get your combo at first. Then go to 5-color Reanimator, which is really a Gruul Shifting Woodlands deck. So this is at 73%. So the deck's built around this line, Shifting Woodlands. If you have Delirium, you can have the land become a copy of target permanent in your graveyard. So ideally what you do is you self-mill or loot. You want to reanimate Godpharaoh's Gift through Woodlands. So you have the Woodlands become the Godpharaoh's Gift, and then it's able to have Ulamog come in as a 4/4. Because it sees the copy of Ulamog in exile, it comes in with 10 counters on it. So it gets haste and it attacks for Annihilator 10 in addition to being 14 power. You can have the line become like Ulamog to just exile 20 of their cards. You can have it become Omniscience and just cast a whole bunch of stuff, Traxa, whatever it may be. Witch's Vengeance as kind of a loot effect. Cash Grab and Malevolent Rumble as ways to fill your graveyard while finding permanents. Lootings, Scrabbling Claws is a new one that's being played in here, which is nice to help you against the Persist decks and the various graveyard decks. I will say, like, I've played a lot of Woodlands decks, like the Omnitel version, the one where you win through like Omniscience, Fae of Wishes kind of deck. Similar concept. That one's instant win, where this one's more like creature-based attacks. You tend to be a turn slower than like the Persist or Belcher combos, but you tend to be a little bit better against creature decks in a way. But it's a fun deck to play. Definitely something, if you have the cards, to try it out. Just cheating out Ulamogs are always fun. First installment of Boros Energy. So we've had the nerfs. Oscillus Pride, 2 mana. Guide of Souls is basically 4 energy to activate, and Galvanic Discharge is 2 mana, 2 energy as opposed to 3. But this version is playing the non-Lurrus version, so you have Flages in there. Still seeing some Sun Cleanser that kind of hedge the matchup. Impetuous Lootmonger is a nice card effect engine to just give you some... you can steal cards from your opponent. You can also just discard like dead cards, or if you're Hellbent, it just draws you a card, which is nice. And then you get to create some treasures. Thraben Charm is a really nice flexible card in Best of 1. Could be removal when you need it. It could destroy enchantments like Omniscience, and then it can exile graveyards. So just a really flexible card. These module effects in Best of 1. You have Flages, Fables kind of mixed into there. Obviously the Ajani, Amped Raptor, Goblin Bombardment kind of package to kill your opponent. Arena Glory can haste out your Flage as well. We go to Jeskai Control, kind of Jeskai, no ETBs for you. This one's at 69%. And this is looking to use a bunch of effects like Doorkeeper Thrall, Hushbringer, Torpor Orb, just to shut off opponent's ETBs. This works nicely for you because your Flage doesn't have to get sacrificed. Just comes into play. You don't get the ability that turn, but it does get you to just have a 3 mana 6/6 that then can attack the following turn. Even better with Arena Glory. You have Null Drifter that would just be 3 mana for 4/4 Annihilator flying. That draws you cards. Galvanic, Fragment, Tune the Narrative, just a bunch of kind of removal effects. Wrath the Skies in here still. No More Lies as counters. Expressive Iteration as card advantage in the deck. So it's kind of like Jeskai mid-rangey control. Cool shell. We then have Rakdos Rottenmouth Viper Sack, so 66%. So this one is using the new mythic. So this one wants you to sacrifice non-land permanents. You get a big snake that forces your opponent to either sacrifice stuff or lose life or discard stuff. You're using it in a anvil shell, which naturally is going to have a lot of sack fodder. Apprentice in here could be like drain effects paired with the Meat Hook Massacre. You have Gleeful Demolition, which could sacrifice any of your artifacts, then just give you a bunch of others fodder to it. Same with Kodaltha, Wizards Rockets, Chromatic Stars, all kind of effects. You have the Voldaren in here, also makes you artifacts. So kind of artifact synergy, sacrifice, if you like those types of shells. And then 2 other decks. It's giving me an error when I pull up big, so I do apologize. We're just going to cover it in like the small view, but I'll paste the deck list. This is Mono Green Devotion. So we've had this deck kind of fell off with energy being very prevalent, and with energy kind of being nerfed back, we're seeing this rise again. So it's all built around Nykthos, generates huge amounts of mana. This one's on the ley line, so if you get it in your opener, you get to cast it for free. So it adds 4 devotion. It also fixes your Nykthos to tap for green mana. You have Outcaster Trailblazer that can draw you cards along with Kiora. That also helps you ramp up. You have the Fanatic of Ronus, which could generate you a bunch of mana. Karn's in here for a wish board. Nissa's another like mana doubler. Top end of Ulamog or Emrakul as well. And then you have Storm the Festival that can help you kind of combo off. The combo elements of it is if you could generate enough mana while just playing huge amounts of things to the board, Karn could fetch the Akroma's Memorial, which gives all your creatures haste for the turn, so you can win that same turn. But otherwise, you have like Graveyard Hate. You can take over their turns with Mindslaver, and you can keep getting it back with Karn. You have Liquid Metal Coating that could blow up lands or shut off activated abilities. General removal in Cityscape Leveler, Portal to Phyrexia to make them force them to like sack a bunch of stuff, and then the Ring just for card advantage engine. So there's that deck, and then there is, where did it go? I want to show the Golgari Eldrazi deck. It's really a mono green Eldrazi deck. This is as close as we're going to get to Tron in the format. So you have access to Ubigan's Labyrinth. So you exile a 7-drop or greater. It's a soul land, so it taps for 2 mana. I had an opponent who somehow had 3 of these in their opener with the requisite conditions, and I'm just like, you want it more than I do. You'll notice a bunch of kind of colorless lines in here, setting up your Scry, Cavern. You'll have like the Avamaya in here. You have Secluded Courtyard. So these are all ways that you can tap for your colorless Eldrazi while still producing colorless mana for the Forsaken Monument, which doubles up mana. You have Urza's Incubator as a cost reducer. You have Mind Stone in here. And then you have Dismember as removal. Really unfortunate. This is just mythic for no reason other than just being special guest. Kozilek's Command, really flexible card. Again, another card that can eat away at the graveyards while being removal, while being ramp. Your top ends like Ulamog's in here, World Breaker, you have your Null Drifter, Devourer Destiny for card advantage as well as removal, the Souling Mycosloth as a way to start attacking your opponent's land in the late game, but early game just ramp you up, help you find conditional lands, Thought-Knot Seers for card like just eat at their hands. You have Urza's Drone Construction, which puts in the Urza's lands, so you can get Tron, and then you have Ugin and Karn in here, and then similar package in the sideboard, not as mono green combo focused, but just various toolbox shells. Another Urza's Drone, Unlicensed Hearse, Treasure Vault. I'd play a One Ring in the side, just seems like free value over like the additional drone. I think at that point, just play like another ring. Ring's a lot better than it. But that is it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing, what you've been enjoying. And if you do like this type of content, like I said, greatly appreciate it if you could drop a like and comment on the video. Thanks for watching.